Welcome to Hyperlocal in Huntsville, Alabama, where I dive in to the stories of local business owners. My name is Sarah Runyons. I am with Cove Living, brokered by eXp Realty. And today I am so excited to welcome Michelle Horne. She is with Amber Publishing Solutions. Can't wait to dive in and to learn a little bit about what she's doing. She has started a new endeavor, and it's always exciting to me to talk with somebody when they're just getting started with something, because who knows where this may go. But she's got something great, especially maybe if you're dealing with a situation related to a stroke patient. Michelle, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Hello, thank you for having me. As Sarah said, my name is Michelle Horne. I've lived in Huntsville for 24 years, I believe. I'm originally from Houston, Texas, and I went to Texas A&M University. I've been a teacher for years. I've worked for about 4 or 5 years, tutoring adults and children who have brain injuries and learning disabilities. I currently take care of my parents. They live with me and they have both had strokes. My dad has had a brain aneurysm and strokes. My mom recently had strokes. So I just have a passion for taking care of and helping people who have gone through strokes and are trying to recover and get back to as normal of a life as possible. I currently, all of my husband and I, between the two of us, have 10 children, and they are all out of the home now. We have my goodness, five grandchildren now. And so we're busy with them, but I am an empty nester now, taking care of my parents. So I retired from teaching to spend more time with mom and dad and help them out because they need a lot of care. And I thought this is my chance to do something I've been wanting to do for a very long time.
That is such a great story, Michelle. And what a blessing, to have that family. I know that a lot of excitement happens. You get a phone call we're expecting. You get a phone call, for some life change, and that's always fun and exciting. So, just tell us a little bit more. I know you kind of give us an
Mhm.
intro into it, but how did your business actually come about that you're now doing?
Well, I wanted to create things that could help stroke patients, brain injury patients. And I've spent a lot of time figuring out how can I do that? I don't even know. I'm a teacher. I'm a math teacher. I don't know anything about publishing or creating activity books and all. So this past year, I've been spending a lot of time researching and figuring out how to publish. I self-publish on Amazon, and that way I can create my books and I can upload them. I am an LLC, so I have this is what I'm going to be doing for who knows how long, as long as the Lord lets me do it. And I create activity books right now. I'm working on activity books for people with strokes and brain injuries so that they can have something to help them as they regain their independence. Work on small motor control, work on, like my dad has aphasia, which is he has trouble coming up with the words for things. So to help with aphasia, to help with memory, to help with planning and all kinds of things. So I've been researching, looking at what's out there, what people need. I have friends whose parents have had strokes, and I talk to them, and plus my own experience. And that's really how it came to be.
Okay, that's exciting. It sounds like something because I know my mom had had a stroke and lived with us for 3 years, so I can
Mhm.
relate to that caregiving and all the things that go with it. You're really managing their health in so many ways, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but
Yes.
does it ever feel like a revolving door with therapists and all
Yes,
I
all
mean,
the time, with
yeah,
mom and
and
dad both having therapists coming to the house and nurses and
mhm,
doctors, and we spent the summer in rehab centers and all for they both broke bones. So
yeah.
it's busy.
What is it that you're most passionate about with regards to what you're doing?
When I was looking for workbooks and things that could help mom and dad or other students, I just didn't find anything. There's a lot out there. There are a lot of good materials and all, but I didn't find anything what I was looking for.
Mm,
Everything was in black and white. I
mm,
wanted stuff in color that would help engage. I know that some stroke survivors cannot see colors, but many can, and it helps to
mhm,
engage their mind more, and it just how it's more interesting. So I
mhm,
was looking for things like that, especially workbooks and things that could help senior citizens that don't look like they're for kindergartners. Just
okay.
so many of these very simple activities. Like I have a friend whose mom, she told me she couldn't do dot to dot past like 10. But
Mm,
anything you find like that is for kindergartners,
mm,
preschoolers, and it's
mhm.
just kind of offensive sometimes to
Yeah.
someone who's
Well,
older.
probably they're thinking, because that they recognize that this is a kindergarten book,
Right.
that it's like, what do they think? That yeah, maybe it's sort of disrespectful in a sense, or yeah, but
Or it makes them feel bad that, oh
yeah,
gosh, I'm down to my dad was a NASA physicist, and
yeah.
to give him something that looks like what a kindergartner did,
Mhm.
he's not going to be interested in that one bit. And when you're
Yeah.
working with someone who has had a brain injury or maybe a personality change or things like that, you have to be able to get their attention, and you have to get them to engage, because if they don't want to, they're not going to.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. And having been a teacher, I think that's great because you're able to figure out and understand how to get people engaged and know the
Right,
importance of that. Because if they're not engaged, they're just simply not going to learn, right?
right, correct.
Um, Now, how do you stay relevant with the latest developments that are involving what it is that you're doing?
I have, as far as the publishing end goes, I have training that I go through,
Mhm,
videos and things like that that I keep up with as best I can.
mhm,
I needed something that I could do on a very erratic schedule. So,
mhm,
but I finished my very first book that I published in the waiting room at the hospital, waiting on my dad to get out of surgery. So, I can do these kind of things wherever I am. When it comes to the activities, I'm constantly looking at other activity books. I'm reading. I'm looking at what my mom and dad and some friends whose parents have had strokes. What are they struggling with?
mhm,
And so I'm always trying to find different activities, different things. My books are going to be in different levels that they can grow with as they improve. So I'm always looking for what is more of a challenge. And it is difficult to go, what's a challenge, but not too much of a challenge.
mhm,
So there is some trial and error, but I'm just always looking at different ideas and trying to come up with something that just works. And a
mhm.
lot of prayer goes into these because I
Yeah,
just don't have the ideas myself. I'm always praying, saying, Lord, I need ideas, I need help. What do I do? And I
yeah,
feel like He has opened doors and led me to this. I never
yeah,
expected as a math teacher to do this,
yeah.
but I love it.
Well, it's interesting because as we get more mature, I guess we can say, I think we look at our life experiences and we see that we've learned a lot.
Mhm.
We've got a lot of things that we have learned and kind of pulled together different things. And you have a college degree. I mean, I do too. I've got master's degree, and you realize, okay, learning is not always just about having a degree on a piece of paper and
Right.
knowledge.
Mhm.
You get so much knowledge from so many experiences and things that you've done in life, and you bring that to bear on maybe a business idea or
Mhm.
whatever. And So yeah, so I think that that's great that you're taking your life experience and the things that you've learned, as well as prayer, because God sees the big picture, right? He knows
Right.
more than we do what we should be doing. Now, your business name, Amber Publishing Solutions, is there
Mhm.
anything behind the name of that?
There is. I am a cancer survivor. I have appendix cancer, and I was diagnosed 7.5 years ago. And it's a very rare cancer, but my cancer ribbon is amber. And so I just pulled that into just because God has brought me through a very rare cancer that I should not be here still. And I just kind of want to remember that. It's a new beginning from surviving cancer and a new business. And it just kind of went together for me.
That's really wonderful. Yeah, I kind of wondered, it's like Amber.
Where did that come from?
But now we know. Now we know, and that is a great reason. Put that in the name. So now, reflecting on your journey so far, what
Mhm.
moment or achievement are you most proud of?
I think it No, I know when my first book published, when it went live, that was a very exciting moment for me. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm an author. I'm a published author. So that was probably my biggest moment. And then the next one was when I actually got the book from Amazon when they sent me a copy or a author copy. And that was just like, oh my goodness. And to actually see it and
Yeah,
not it was real. So when it
yeah.
became real is when probably my most exciting moment.
When I sold my first house, I was like literally pinching myself. Did I actually do that? Did I just sell a house?
I
And
know.
at the time, my broker, because I was beginning to wonder, am I ever going to sell a house? My broker was
Yes.
like, oh, you're going to. And I thought, okay, he's got confidence that I'm going to. And then when I actually did, and now that I've sold, many, many more since that time, I see that. But at the time, it was hard to even believe. But it's because, like in your situation as well, I'm sure you're preparing and you're doing all the
Yes.
work, but it's not coming to fruition yet. And then all of a sudden, you see that physical copy of
Yeah.
that book, and you're like, okay, it's really here.
Yes.
So yes, that is exciting. Are you involved in any community or charity work related to your business?
I am not as far as not really working with charity work right now,
Yeah,
but I am a full-time caregiver of my
yeah,
parents. I am helping a few friends of mine that are also in the same position or just getting into because I've been helping care for my dad for 16 years now and my mom just for a couple of years.
yeah.
So I'm helping other people that I know go through the same situations and just a lot of times just being a sounding board, just letting them vent and then, yes, this is normal because it's a very new experience
Mhm,
to have to take care of your parents
mhm,
when they start changing and their mental status changes, and it's very difficult.
mhm,
And it's very heartbreaking at times, and it's frustrating too, because you're like, "Mom, you should be able to do this now," and they can't anymore. And
mhm,
just being there more as a sounding board. So it's not a big thing I'm doing, but I'm trying just to be there for other people who are going through the same thing and just say, "You're not alone." There's
yeah.
a lot of us in this position now.
Yeah. Well, that's great, because I think that now that you are writing these books and you are still actively caring for your parents, you can definitely relate to others who are going through that. And I recall, when I started caring for my parents, it was
Right.
the day that I got the call that my mom had had a stroke. And really, I had not so much cared for my dad. He passed away, but my mom did care for him. But I had been hiking with my daughter and well, I guess all of my daughters and the son-in-law of one of my daughters and their dog. We had been hiking that day. We were up on a mountain, and I didn't have cell phone access, but my mom had had a stroke, and my sister and her husband lived like 5 minutes from mom, so they were able to be there. But I had no idea what was going on with her having a stroke. And we have pictures of that day, and I think that's the before and then the after, kind of
Yes.
you look back in retrospect and you realize that day changed our lives significantly, and it does. And you don't really
Mhm.
want to think about those things happening, but just knowing that it can is good to prepare yourself because it could.
Right.
And it's like, what are you going to do if you have to go down that road? One of the things we were thankful for is that my brother-in-law had the foresight that when my dad passed away, to make sure that my mom had long-term care insurance. And that was a very good thing to have in place. I mean, there are so many little details that
Right.
you don't want to think about it, and so you shelve the idea of talking about it or broaching the subject. But those are things that are important. I mean, even preparing for funerals, it's like that's anathema. You don't want to talk about those things.
No.
But at some point it's good to maybe prepare for it in advance so that but also just that care so they can live out some quality life as much as
Right.
possible.
Well, and
uh,
one thing I wanted to do these activity books is so many times I go downstairs,
yeah.
they're not physically able to do a lot, so they just sit there and watch TV.
Okay. Yeah.
And, it's like there needs to be more in their
Yeah.
life. And
Mhm.
to remind them, they have the book, and I have to remind them often. They're like, "Oh, yeah," and they'll get out. I'm like, "Just do a page, do a couple of pages, and just help your mind engage." Especially with my mom, she doesn't like movies. She likes college football
Yeah.
and not much else to watch on TV, and so she just doesn't have a lot, and she's not able to do some of the crafts she used to do. So
Mhm,
just keeping her mind active and improving,
mhm.
was something that I was looking for them to do.
Yeah. So, in that question that I asked about community service, or you are serving, Michelle, like you're serving others. And I think that that is something that is so great. I remember in a recent interview talking with another lady who, we just really were realizing the importance of service in our
Mhm.
lives. That, we were created to serve others, and people who really don't get that, they're missing out on having a fulfilling life. And I think that's really a good practical example you just gave there. That those books, there's something that they can pick up and just work on, because there's a lot of time. They've got a lot of
Right.
time, and
Mhm.
it's like, okay, what are we doing with this time that we have here? And if she doesn't like to watch TV, it's probably better that she not anyway, right? Because that can just
Right.
become sort of a mindless activity, um, as compared to a workbook of
Correct.
some sort.
Excuse me, that reminds me, I need to go down and say, "Mom, have you worked on your books?"
Yeah, that's right. Well, so can you give us any more sort of practical examples of how these activities help stimulate their brains?
Sure. My, level 1 is the first one I put out, and it is for geared more towards people who have just had their stroke or who are beginning the process, like they haven't done anything like this before. And in the book, I have 10 different activities broken up into 5 categories. I'm a teacher, so we have units. And it's things like words from around the house, words from family words, pets, things like that that they need, food, things that they need to be able to communicate. They need to have these words to do their basic communications. And then so I have some Sudoku, and I have very simple in this book. It's just a 4x4. So if they've never done it before, like my mom, it can help them learn. There are mazes. There's lots of pictures in here. So you could look at this and go, okay, what's that? That's a tent.
Yeah.
What is that? And it just helps
Mhm.
recall these words. It helps with the memory. And if they don't remember them, learning the words again.
Those are really
My
pretty,
parents have both
Michelle. Did
had to
you do
learn
the
how to write.
I'm sorry, those are really pretty. Did you import the graphics, or did you do the artwork, or
didn't make most of the artwork. I have some programs where I have the license to use all
Mhm,
of the artwork. So I take pictures and combine them and
mhm.
make my own graphics out of the elements like that. And then I try to put things in like this just for hand, small motor control, trying to get that pencil, learn how to write again, get that
Yeah,
fine motor control. So that is how I use the books.
yeah.
Book two, I have to say, hopefully goes live today.
Oh,
I
wow.
uploaded it a couple of days ago. So hopefully today book two comes out and it's got some new puzzles and more difficult puzzles in it, just a little transition to longer words. Um, the puzzles are a little more difficult just to give a challenge. You don't
Okay.
want to stay stagnant. And yeah, so
They're
I'm
visually
excited for book
appealing.
two to go live today.
Oh,
So
that's
there's a new
exciting. Well,
challenge going out there.
that's very visually appealing, Michelle. I think it's something that, people would open up and enjoy looking at. And then it's something that they can do, and it's not too
Right.
complicated. Um, so I think that would be fun, for them to go through and do the activities.
And
Um,
you want them to be successful. Their lives, after a stroke and all, it's hard because you're not successful at so much anymore.
yeah.
And so my goal was to make the puzzles and things where they could be successful and feel good about themselves
Oh,
and
for
what they
sure.
can do and how they improve. So that's my goal.
Oh, that's great, Michelle. I love that concept because I think about my mom, and you go through the therapies, and I know the therapists try to be encouraging for the most part, but sometimes we would have therapists coming in, and not to say it was always a bad thing, but they almost had the reputation of being really hardcore,
Right.
and mom would always joke with the therapist, but there was one that she was like, oh no, they're going to torture me, But it was almost done in jest, but at the same time, there was truth there as well.
Exactly. Yes.
It can be, it seems encouraging, something visually appealing to look at, something that they can look and say, hey, I would like to pick up my activity book and have fun with it because I
Right.
can be successful with it. Um, that's
And there's
great.
a lot of like word searches, things that people are used to doing
Mhm.
in activity books as well.
Yeah,
So hopefully some of it's familiar.
yeah.
And so that was my goal.
Okay, okay. So yeah, and this is going to lead us to getting your products, which we'll get to that in a minute.
Uh-huh.
But what are some of the aspirations you have and plans for the future of your business?
I really want to focus on making books, activity books for seniors, for older members of our society. Because, like,
Mhm,
some people have not had strokes and brain, but they have memory loss,
mhm,
with dementia and things like that. So, after this, I believe I'm going to be working on a Christmas book that's Christmas themed.
mhm,
And I want to have some encouraging books that are scripture themed that they can work through and be encouraging to them as they work on it. Because if you do a word search and if you're doing it from scripture, that
mhm,
scripture is getting in, whether you
mhm,
are able to read your Bible that much or not anymore. So I have a lot of plans with things like
mhm,
that. I do have a book out that just released last week about grandparenting in the modern age.
mhm.
So I hope to have some more books out. I would love to write some children's books that have spiritual emphasis in them. So I have all kinds of ideas. So I
Yeah,
would love
it
to
sounds
see
extremely
that happen.
creative and fun. Actually, not a bad gift idea,
That's I'm
something,
trying to get them out before Christmas so people want to give them
yeah.
as excuse me, give them as gifts and all.
Well, and it's hard to pick gifts for like my mom is
Yes.
now in a nursing home, and I'm thankful she's in a good one or one that they really love her. What do you get them? Like, you don't want to clutter their room with stuff. They don't need trinkets. And most of
Right.
the consumable items, a lot of those things they can't administer, like lotions, things like that. I mean, they
Right.
can't use those things like they used to. So this might be an ideal thing for a gift. So
And, if
I'm figuring
we
out what
showed 'em
I might
when
give
my
this.
mom was in rehab, we showed it to her therapist, the coordinator of the therapist,
Mhm,
and she loved the idea because of the color and
mhm,
the pictures and everything, so it's something a therapist could even do with them.
mhm. Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
they come and work with her, they could bring these out and go through words like speech therapy and all,
Yeah. Oh, Michelle,
because
that's
we've had speech
great.
therapy too, so
Right. Well, so now with all of that, now that we all want to go rush out and get some gifts for our loved ones who are in the nursing home, where can we find these things? And how
they are
can we
on
find you
Amazon.
on
They
Amazon?
are on Amazon. I did write under a pen name, Elsie Anderson. The reason I chose that is Lottie was my grandmother's name. Charlotte was her grandmother's name, and Anderson was my grandmother's last name. So I kind of went with grandparents' names
Yeah.
just to Meemaw. She practically raised me at times. She was
Mhm.
always my buddy. So that is why Elsie Anderson,
Okay.
but they're called After Stroke and Brain Injury Recovery Activity Book. Level 1 is out now, and level 2, hopefully today or tomorrow, will be live.
Okay.
And
And
they can be
I know we're
released.
recording this on a Friday and I'm not pushing it out until Wednesday. So by that time, everything should be good to go, right?
Yes, everything should be good to go for level 2. And I just got that one up in the last day or two.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to begin working on a Christmas book for seniors
Okay.
and get that out as soon as it takes me about a month or so to get a book done.
Okay,
So I'm going to work on that.
what would you say would be maybe an anticipated date that the Christmas book will be ready?
I would love to have it up no later than mid-October. So I'll make that my goal. Have it live. There's a lot involved with editing and getting it formatted and everything for Amazon. They're very, which is good. They're very picky, but that's great because they mean that the quality stuff is still out there. But I'll make that my goal to get it
Yeah, well,
out and have
we'll have to
a
start looking
activity
back
book.
if we want to get the Christmas book by around mid-October then.
And I would love to have it in color as well. Just because it's more interesting, I
Well,
think.
we're gonna put this information. I'm gonna put it in the comments of this
Okay.
video. So if people didn't get it visually or auditorially here, then we will get it in the comments of the video. And I can't wait to maybe get one of these and see if my mom can do them with her left hand.
And that's my main goal is just something that can help them be successful and get back to as much of an independent life as possible.
Oh, that's great, Michelle. I'm so glad that you're using your creativity, your talents to create something that others can do and giving you some enjoyment in the process too, I'm sure.
Yes,
Mhm.
they're fun. I really enjoy doing it.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Michelle, and have a blessed day.
Thank you. You too. Bye bye.
Bye.